So you've done the hard part. You've officially filed your 2023 federal income tax return. Congratulations. Now the good part happens next if you're like 3 out of 4 taxpayers who get a refund every year. You're getting that tax refund. I'm Mark Steber, Chief Tax Information Officer at Jackson Hewitt. And today we're going to break down just when you might actually expect to receive your federal refund this year. So let's get into it. When will you receive your federal tax refund? Well, how quickly you receive your tax refund depends on when you file, how you file, and how you chose to receive your refund, and whether or not you claim certain credits and deductions. In general, you can expect to get your refund money within about 21 days after the IRS has accepted and processed your tax return. That is, provided you have a no-issue tax return, but we'll get into that in a minute. If you chose for your tax refund to be directly deposited instead of getting that paper check in the mail, most banks will get the money close to the same day the IRS releases your tax refund. And I typically hear that can take up to 3 to 5 days for your bank to process it and make it available. But check with your personal bank to see what they say. If you're a Jackson Hewitt client and you chose the Serve American Express card, you may receive your refund as early as the same day it's released by the IRS, and up to 2 days faster than standard direct deposit. If you claim the Earned Income Tax Credit, don't be concerned if you file your taxes as soon as you're able, and don't get a refund by the 21 days. By law, the IRS holds all tax returns with those who claim the EITC until about mid-February. This gives the IRS more time to match returns with the information it has on file. And why? Generally because people who get this credit are getting a pretty big tax refund. And the IRS just wants to make sure it's not a fraudulent tax return. How do you track the status of your federal tax refund? Well, the IRS has a great tool called Where's My Refund? And you can find it at irs.gov/refunds. You can start checking the status of your 2023 income tax refund 24 hours after e-filing. And if you filed a paper tax return, you can still use this tracker, but it can take up to 4 weeks before it's on the online system. To use the Where's My Refund tool, you just need to enter a few pieces of information at irs.gov, including your Social Security number, you select your filing status, and the exact dollar amount you expect to receive from your originally filed return. The IRS updates the tool once a day, usually overnight, so there's no need to check multiple times during the day. And if you're a Jackson Hewitt client, you can log into your MyJH account and track the status of your tax refund. You can also call the IRS and speak to an agent to get clarification, but beware, there can be long wait times on those calls. So if you must call the IRS, I suggest calling at the beginning of the day. The best practice is to use the online service on a computer or even your smartphone. What factors affect refund processing? Well, even though most people will get their refund within 3 weeks, some refunds simply take longer. And many different factors can go into this, including if the return has errors, mismatched data from your tax return to IRS systems, or is incomplete, or is affected by identity theft or fraud. Other causes for a tax refund to be delayed include the return has been flagged in the system and needs some additional review. We covered some of those reasons earlier, including mismatched data. The return needs a correction to a credit, like the Earned Income Credit or the Child Tax Credit. Simple things are mismatched because of a typo, like the wrong spelling of a name or a Social Security number. Wrong direct deposit information was entered. A paper return was filed instead of electronic filing and has math errors or other issues. The return had correct numbers but entered on the wrong lines or sections. If there is an issue with your return, the IRS will contact you by mail. They will not call, not text, not email you, or reach out on any social media platform. If you get contacted by the IRS in any way besides a letter in the mail, it's probably not the IRS and is a scam. We see it every year. There are also some scammers who mail letters that aren't real. So if you get a letter in the mail from the IRS and you're not sure if it's real, just bring it to a tax expert like a Jackson Hewitt Pro, and they'll be able to figure it out for you. We've seen a ton of scams and can easily spot if it's real or not. What if you made a mistake on your tax return and it's already been filed? Well, first off, don't panic. Mistakes happen, and it's okay. Just because there's a mistake doesn't mean the IRS agent is going to come and knock on your door. You could have missed an important credit or a deduction, made a math error, forgotten income, or another item that could have changed your tax return, and ultimately must fix it by amending the tax return. And because the IRS is not obligated to correct your mistake, especially when you're entitled to get money back in a refund, it can be an open case for 3 years for you. Additionally, the IRS has 3 years to notify you of an error that requires you to pay more in taxes, which might increase any penalty or interest you might also owe. The way to correct any mistake is to file an amended return. To file an amended return, you must follow several steps, starting with using the correct Form 1040X Amended Income Tax Return, which covers changes to the 1040 and the 1040SR. This can be done electronically. When you send your amended tax return to the IRS, you also need to include copies of the other schedules or forms that have changes, any new forms created, and any W-2s or 1099s received after the original tax return was filed. Lastly, it can take up to 16 weeks or 4 months for the IRS to process an amended return. I highly recommend working with a tax professional if you need to amend your tax return, even if you used a DIY product originally. Making a mistake on your amended tax return can cause huge headaches, and an expert is your best way to ensure no further mistakes are made. So that's it for today. But if you still have questions about your tax refund, schedule an appointment at jacksonhewitt.com to talk to a tax professional. Tell me in the comments, what are you planning to use your tax refund for this year? And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel for more valuable information and hit that notification bell to stay updated on all things taxes.